and great to have things get off to such a wonderful start. I have the pleasure of introducing the videos for our two platinum sponsors. And I want to, just share how much we appreciate the support of all sponsors of SIGCOMM', but with a special highlight for those who are sponsored at the highest level. So, of course, the sponsors and platinum sponsors in particular provide long-term commitment, have provided long-term commitment to our community and to our research. They enable us to have greater participation and to make that participation more easily accessible by those around the world, by allowing us to keep our registration costs lower. The costs shift around when we move from in person to virtual, and that they don't go away. So we really appreciate the financial commitment of these two companies. Also, the two platinum sponsors, represent in some sense two sort of parts of the networking stack, right? So the first one, and we'll play that first video, is Cisco, and you really can't think about networking, at least not traditional networking, of core networking, without thinking of Cisco. And so with that, could you please play the video, Mike, and we'll see Cisco's sponsor video.
Everyone. I'm Pradeep Kathel, CTO for Enterprise Networking at Cisco Systems. Today, I'm going to talk about Cisco's view on intent-based networking. This is a quick overview. Join me at 4:30 on Thursday to go in detail on this topic. From a Cisco perspective, the way we look at intent-based networking is how the network is delivering the outcome which is required by the business. And the goal here is the business specifies what are they looking from the network. And then everything is done underneath automatically through the automation. Okay. The business intent can be specified in simple terms using natural language processing. I believe this is also an area where we can collaborate together. Once we understand that what business is looking from the network, the first task really is how that outcome can be achieved from the network. And we need to consider what the current state, current topology, current policy in the network are. And for us to translate from what to how, we have to think of from how do we bring in the artificial intelligence during the how translation. Once we understand how, the bits and bytes come in, and we need to go program the network to deliver those outcomes. But once the network is programmed, we want to continuously monitor it, continuously get the telemetry out of the network to make sure that the network continues to deliver the outcome the business is looking for. And so this is where we want to gain useful insights, want to do machine learning, want to provide the expert guidance to the business to say whether they are getting their intent, whether they can get their intent, or something else is happening in the network. The goal for the intent-based networking is realistically provide the enterprise-wide visibility and assurance to make sure that the network is delivering what business outcome was desired out of it. Provide the comprehensive automation. That means you don't need to think about bits and bytes. You think about what the business aspect of the networks are, as well as provide consistent security across the network. One of the ways Cisco does this, or Cisco thinks about it, is how do we bring in artificial intelligence at various places? The two areas where to bring in artificial intelligence is how do we translate from what to how, and the other is how do we validate whether network is delivering what is required as the data is coming in from the telemetry. The two areas of artificial intelligence which we use are machine learning and machine reasoning. A lot of people talk about machine learning, and there has been many discussions today on machine learning. Machine reasoning is another branch of artificial intelligence which we are using, which is pretty much using the rules-based engine to ensure that the network or we are getting the outcome which we were looking for. These two basically are the complementary branches which we are using. From the machine learning perspective, what the advantage Cisco brings is the number of customers, the amount of data which we have. And this allows us to analyze the data, build the right models, as well as compare similar customers to see whether their networks are behaving similarly or not. From a machine reasoning perspective, it is really all about the knowledge base. How can you bring the right knowledge base or build the right knowledge base? Given the vast number of customers we have, given the communities that we have, and given the internal resources which we have, we believe that we can easily build these knowledge bases. And the difference between machine learning and machine reasoning really is that machine learning looks at the data and tries to find anomalies through that data. Things which nobody had predicted before might be happening. But machine reasoning is really good for doing diagnostic, why a specific problem is happening, okay? Or ensuring that the network is following the policy or the rules or is compliant to certain rules with the network which the customer wanted. Okay, so this was a very quick overview of intent-based networking and our view on intent-based networking. Please join me on Thursday at 4:30 and to do a deeper dive on this topic.
Thank you to Cisco and Pradeep for that that interesting description of Cisco's interest in intent-based networks. So the second platinum sponsor really represents a different part of the networking stack, and this is Facebook. Social media in general and Facebook in particular have represented drivers for networking and distributed systems requirements over the last, I guess, fair to say 15 years, decade to 15 years. In contrast to Cisco, which quoted 35 years of operational experience. So getting to see both a relatively newer, somewhat newer player in the space than Cisco, and also one that is really driving things from an application standpoint. So with that, Mike, if you could play the Facebook video.
Computing resources underpin everything we do here at Facebook. From the day that this was a single computer in Mark's dorm room to today where we have a set of globally distributed data centers, our engineering ideas impact billions of people around the world.
The scale of Facebook is massive, and the role of infrastructure is really to stay ahead of it and provide everything that the products will need now, 3 years from now, 5 years from now.
So it's really important that we have a great short-term story, that we have medium-term solutions in the works, and that we have the right long-term strategy.
In a relatively short period of time, Facebook has generated a surprising amount of exciting, novel and innovative infrastructure.
Inside the infrastructure, we have database, we have distributed systems, we have networking that connects computers together.
We have to solve not only scaling, we have to solve reliability, durability, redundancy problems. There's a lot of fault tolerance. There's a lot of distributed systems theory in it.
So all of this makes sure that you have a very great Facebook experience.
Many of the products that we have here at Facebook leverage AI at their core. I am particularly excited to see the systems and infrastructure community come together with AI to support this huge emergence of machine learning and engineering challenges that result.
We're tackling problems that most companies won't have to solve for 5 to 10 years. And this means our engineers get to solve problems that will define the computer industry for a decade to come.
We've got folks with networking background, some with distributed systems background, some years and years of experience, some people right out of school.
They come in every day and they're excited by the work we're doing because we're always sitting on the bleeding edge of technology.
The problems that we're tackling every day are unique. You've got to have people with different backgrounds, different points of view in order to come up with these new solutions to innovate.
Collaboration is always going to be important in the field of engineering. There's pretty much nothing that we do in isolation.
We not only publish scientific papers, but we make most of the infrastructure that we develop here available as open source, and this helps to feed back into the scientific community.
If you're coming in with a special domain, let's say networking, or you're coming in with machine learning or database theory, you're going to work with some of the top people in the world on that. But then you're also going to learn a lot about all these other disciplines. And that's what's so exciting, because we're this team, we're this infrastructure team, and you're going to work with everybody to deliver the applications.
Everybody on our team is pretty interesting and diverse in their own way, but the thing that we all have in common is that we're all very passionate about technology and about solving problems.
If you've been doing research and you really want to take that research and have it deployed and have impact in the world, this is the place to do it.
Thank you again to Facebook and to Cisco for being platinum sponsors of SIGCOMM'. We are on schedule and there will now be a 10-minute break, returning at 12:50 Eastern time for the next technical session. Vincent Liu from University of Pennsylvania will be the session chair.